This is Ame. He's a regular, yet strange young man. Wears all black wherever he goes to. Work at a local store to support his life. He works days and nights to keep him and his brother comfortable. It isn't something that he wanted to do, but it's the only thing that he can do right now that could get him and his brother alive. One day, he got home from work, sits down and read a newspaper. Only on this particular day, his brother approached him and showed him a letter. He read the letter and it says that his brother got the chance to study abroad. He felt proud for his brother for a second. Then he saw the bills that came with it. He tells him that he couldn't afford to send him studying abroad. Infuriated by the statement told by Ami, his brother stands up and screams at him, telling him how ridiculous this is. They had a fight for a while. He listened to every word his brother said about how unfair this all is. His brother was so mad that the fight goes on and on. It ends with his brother walking to his room, leaving him in guilt. Ami was troubled by this matter. He then got an idea that had a risk bigger than his house. He planned to rob the store he works at, where he knows where the owner puts all the money in and how to open them. He planned recklessly and felt that this was an easy job. Then it was night time. He went to the store, went straight in and took all of the money. He got in his car, took off his mask, and he saw blue and red light coming nearer and nearer. He was panicked and he drove in fear, driving away from the police. That is when he hit someone. He didn't know what to do. He got out and checked on the guy and saw that he couldn't do anything about it. So he went in and drove away again in fear. What he didn't know is that a police is waiting for him at the end of the road he drove into. He was then caught by the police. And that was it for Ame. Let's move on to Haris. This young man thrived on his intelligence, yet he was just another selfish, self-centered man. He was a student that studies in a regular university. He works hard to get an offer to study abroad. He uses the money his brother gave to him to pay a lecturer to help him study abroad. He studies with the lecturer days and nights to get what he wants. He wanted to study abroad so he could show his girlfriend that he doesn't need wealth to be successful. One day, he got home and he saw a letter in front of his doorstep. He took the letter and read it. It was a letter from the University of Berkeley, his dream university. He read it and it says that he got accepted to one of the courses he applies. He felt like his life is going exactly like how he planned it to be. He waited for his brother to come home, and as soon as he did, he sat down and showed him the letter. His brother was proud of him for a second. Then when he saw the bills, his brother told him that he couldn't afford to send him to study there. He couldn't accept the excuse as he felt that this is not how it's supposed to be. Rage came fueling into his body. He stood up and screamed at his brother about how unfair this is. He was so mad at his brother that he couldn't stop the rage that came rushing into his body. So he stormed out to his room, blaming his brother about everything. The next few days, he called his girlfriend and told her about his situation. Then he bumped into a guy wearing black suit, black mask, holding a gun and running away. He called the police and told them about what he saw. Then he sits down and waited for his girlfriend to call him back. Then he got a call from an unknown number. He picks up and they say that his brother got caught for robbery and murder. He sat down and think about how his life is going to be after this. Now on to Zack. Zack is a great guy. The kind of guy that always follow the rules and never belittle others. Zack worked as a lecturer. He's kind, funny, and sincere of doing anything he was told to do. He often spent his time working at the university without even thinking about his personal lifetime. He was nice to every single student that he taught until he became the student's all-time favorite. He was tolerable and fun to be with. There is always a lot of students in his class. No student would skip his class because it was so fun to be in. And all of his class ended in a very good term. For extra money, he worked as a lecturer during the day and as a tutor at night. He got paid to tutor a kid that wanted to study abroad. Even though he loses all of his personal time, but he figures he got money out of this, so he proceeds doing the tutoring even if it consumes all of his personal time. Even though he is a very busy guy, Zack had a girlfriend. The reason he worked extra hard is to marry her. He did exactly what every man did to marry a girl, work. Work as hard as he could to marry her just in time. Even though he never picks up her call, she still waits for him. Then one day, out of the blue, he had a fight with his girlfriend, a fight that leads into them breaking up. Their relationship ended on a very bad term. So Zack walked home with million thoughts in his head. Then he realized a car is approaching him. He then was hit and he laid on the ground. All he saw after this was a silhouette walking towards him, touching his hand, and got into the car back and drove away. What about Amy? She's young, born with a silver spoon in her mouth, and always spent her time at the mall, alone or with her boyfriend. And although she had a beautiful face and lots of money, she's not really happy. She had boyfriends. Yeah, you heard me right. She had 2 boyfriends. Originally, she wanted to commit to only one guy, but the one guy seems to not pay attention with her. She used to love him, but the lack of time that they spend together seems to make her fall out of love. That is when she met the other guy. The sweet, romantic guy that always has time for her and never cancel any plans nor forgot any important dates when he's with her. She wanted to leave the first guy but didn't know how to do so. So she kept the second guy as a secret boyfriend and never showed him the first guy's face so that they wouldn't bump into each other and spoil her fun. But she did tell the second guy about it all. She wanted to be honest. Pretty irony, isn't it? Amy spends time with her new boyfriend as much as she would, and the fact that the guy has all the time in the world to spend it with her made her really happy and ready to cut things off with the first guy. She really felt uncomfortable on being left alone by him and not having time to even talk to him. And somehow that triggers her. To meet him at a place where she knew he's there, his office. She showed him the uncountable times she had called him and received no answer, and tell him how she was bothered with it. Somehow it triggers him too. He started to become frustrated, and they were exchanging words and reason why this didn't work out, and deciding whose fault it is. They were both tired and mad, and they said things that they didn't mean. And while Amy was having a fight with Zack, she thought that she didn't want to end this. But Zack said things that hurts her and do things that hurts her. So she decided that she didn't want this anymore. They were so mad and the fight goes on and on and on until Amy finds herself leaving the conversation with a statement that ended her relationship with that guy. She felt relieved but at the same time furious by the fact that the guy mentioned things about her that made him uncomfortable. And it made her furious that she decided to call the other guy who will soon be her official boyfriend. She tells him about everything and she kept going and going until suddenly the guy hangs up. She was confused, but she waited. Her mind was clustered, and she thought to herself, was she a clingy person? Was what the other guy said is true after all? Then she got a call that the guy she broke up with is dead. She didn't know what to think, and guilt came rushing in. So she sat there, thinking how fast the world can shift things up. She didn't know what to do. All she knows that this is it. This is her life. So what does all this mean? Let's recap. Had Zack not helped Harris in studying to get an offer from abroad, he would have time with Amy. Had he would have time with Amy, Amy wouldn't feel neglected and she wouldn't fall in love with Harris. Had she wouldn't fall in love with Harris, Harris wouldn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. Had Harris wouldn't need to prove anything to anyone, he wouldn't pressure his brother about the money. Had he wouldn't pressure his brother wouldn't rob the store. He wouldn't rob the store. He won't be chased by the police and won't hit a guy with a car, and in other words, the accident would have never happened. I think what I'm trying to say is, the decision that we make will affect every single person in the world. We are all inevitably connected in some ways, every single one of us, over the world. Everything that happens is caused by the decision we make. Whatever we decide has created a link that relates all of us together, like a chain.